know, but we've been walking for hours. We're out of water. Guess the only thing left for us to do is drink our own pee.
What? When did you pee in a bottle?
I prepared it yesterday. It's a last resort, isn't it? You're supposed to, if you need to, you drink your own pee.
Why wouldn't you just brought a bottle of water? And shouldn't you have hydrated first? What's that?
What is that?
We're saved. It's the 2020 Atlas Cross Sport prototype.
The car that we're testing can't be the savior of the sketch. That's so cheesy.
Do you have a better idea?
No, I don't got.
You're watching Throttle House. I'm Thomas.
And I'm James.
And this is the 2020 Atlas Cross Sport prototype.
And we're here in Death Valley, California to test it. The temperature hit 50 degrees Celsius while we were filming. That's 122 Fahrenheit. And if you follow us on Instagram, you might have seen an exciting arc of stories as we entered the valley and the temperature rose. It's 282 feet below sea level and is North America's driest and hottest spot. So yeah, we were there in July, in the afternoon.
All so we could test this. Yes, we've kind of already seen this revealed, and yes, a version of it exists in China already, but this one will have a few differences, we are told. So it's basically an Atlas with one less row of seats, a sloping roof, and some different styling. But it can still do all of the family trip sort of things, like tow an Airstream easily with the towing package that includes extra cooling, or climb a hill near your cottage. But today we want to find out how different it is to the normal Atlas, and if VW's engineering and testing is ready to stand up to one of the harshest climates on Earth, starting with a bit of, well, we'll call it soft roading. If you're new to Throttle House, we do car reviews, track tests, and quite a lot of messing around. So subscribe and hit the bell. All right, we're in the Atlas Cross Sport in Death Valley. This is one of the coolest places I've ever been in my life. It's 118 Fahrenheit right now. Insane. They actually do a lot of their hot climate testing in this area. They bring cars out with a zillion sensors on them to make sure that nothing's overheating, so you can do things like tow in this weather. I can tell you right now though, this car is not overheating. We've been beating it around all day in 118 Fahrenheit and up and down hills. It's working perfectly.
Now, most people buying this car are not going to go in the middle of nowhere of Death Valley and go off-roading, but it's nice to know that it's capable. Now, we have the VR6 right now. This comes in a 2-litre 4-cylinder, and for Canada, every single version of it will have the 4Motion all-wheel drive. So that's a nice thing to know.
I have different driving modes, actually. I have selected the one that has a little mountain on it. That seems to make the most sense. It adjusts things like traction control and where the all-wheel drive goes. It actually, the 4Motion all-wheel drive in this, which is kind of like a Haldex system, can actually detect when you're going up and down an incline and preemptively shunt power to a certain axle. So going up and down these hills, I actually have not lost traction at all, even though I've tried.
On the downhill, I'm completely off the brake right now and it's holding the car. It's just letting me gradually go down the hill in this off-road mode. In road mode, I'd probably have a fun jettison off into that wall. Well, these turns are so good. That is the perfect little corkscrew. I have a feeling that if Thomas was with me now, he would probably be quite scared at how close I'm getting to these walls. The car is big though. You feel that when you're off-roading, like coming off over a hill, I can barely see the bonnet's massive. I just have to hope no one's in front of me.
Okay, one thing that I have noticed is that it's actually fairly insulated from the outside world. It's quite quiet in here. The bumps are not creating a very large amount of noise inside the cabin. I can tell you that this, even though it's quite a big vehicle, it's a little bit smaller than the normal Atlas, same wheelbase though, but it honestly feels easy to drive on this particular back road, off-road I guess. These are really narrow little areas and this thing kind of is just eating it up easily.
Now there's some slight updates going on in here which we're going to discuss later, but things that I really, really like. The way the steering feels is it's reasonably light, maybe a little bit too light for this activity. I kind of wish it would weigh up for the off-road stuff. Although the car does, I mean, it's incredibly accurate. So I have a real sense of control when I'm going around these corners and trying to avoid the high sidewall of stone and rock. So I would say that this is just really easy to drive off-road, but I'm more curious to see how it goes on the road because that's how most people are going to drive it.
All right, on the road. Yeah, there's not, nowadays we expect a lot of low-end torque from turbochargers and stuff. I'm sure that the four-cylinder of this might feel a little bit kind of punchier down low. This one, you really got to rev it out to actually get to that horsepower figure. But it's very smooth, and it makes a good noise.
Good, so I've switched it to the road setting, floor it, got that sound of the V6. It's not particularly fast, but it's obviously a big vehicle, and the power delivery is smooth. This is a family hauler, this is not a race car. I know it's very easy for us to get in cars and be like, this doesn't feel like a Porsche GT3 RS, but we're not going to do that this time. Seems to be holding on to the revs on the way down. I'm not touching anything. Oh, I was in sport mode. All right, I put it back to normal now. Will it hold the revs? No, it drops. There you go. Economy.
I find the steering to be too light for like a vehicle of this size. I almost want to feel a little bit of the heft of it to kind of know that I'm moving it around, and I'm not getting that. It's just feather light steering. I'm not a huge fan of that.
The body of this car feels really well controlled. Obviously, it's very similar to the Atlas. However, upon braking, the car doesn't pitch as much as the Atlas does, which is indicative of a bigger car. I don't know whether that's because it has the lower roof and it's not as much height, but it feels less like a van and more like a car.
But it's very comfortable, and like I've got so much room and headroom, and I've got a really great panoramic view. Honestly, this is a really comfortable car to cruise in.
And a lot of the time, the SUVs do the coupe thing. We criticize them for losing a lot of style. X3, X4 is an example. I actually think this looks sharper than an Atlas. Lovely, lovely ventilated seats in
You know
there.
how long I've been standing here?
It's pretty warm.
There's a breeze out here, but it's just blowing hot air at me.
Yeah, it's not a breeze then.
Could we talk about the styling really quickly before I pass out?
We can, yeah.
Okay.
Obviously, it looks a lot like an Atlas. However, it is 5.7 inches shorter, which have been lopped off the back,
Yes,
and it's lower.
it's lower. It
Lower
looks
roof.
obviously lower too. It looks more sporty,
Yeah.
I guess.
This is a paint job that's gone with kind of a camo theme.
Yes.
not coming to a manufacturer.
No, not near you. No.
Um,
There's not much else we can tell you about it. It has different headlights for sure. From this little square window, I'm allowed to see of the headlights. You know how it has the cool LED bar in like the concept photos or whatever, the
Yeah.
reveal photos. I hope this has that. I can't tell you if it does because I can't see it, but
That would be a mistake if it didn't.
it's really neat.
That would be false advertising if it didn't. All right, let's talk about the interior then.
Yes, please. Air conditioning.
Inside
Okay.
the Atlas Crossball.
There's not a whole lot we can tell you about this.
Yeah, there's this sheet.
We're not
Yeah.
supposed to pick it up.
Yeah.
Can't tell anything.
I saw a volume knob.
Oh, James.
Bin the review. Okay, most exciting thing, immediately,
Yes, this is a new steering wheel.
there's a new steering wheel.
Yes, this is not the one that's in the Atlas.
However, the badge is covered up. It's in Braille.
if I had to hazard a guess,
It says VW.
Yeah.
I don't know why would they cover that up?
some of these are like more or less the same, right? And it has a digital gauge cluster.
The same from the Atlas. It's okay.
Yeah, no, I don't mind it at all. It's fairly customizable. Otherwise, seats are very
We
comfortable.
have ventilated seats.
They are. I assume that they're ventilated because it's blowing cold air. Not that I'm allowed to see what's underneath the
No,
thing
never
to tell you.
press a button to cool down in this weather. All right, headroom. How does it feel in
It's
front?
massive,
Right?
huge amounts of headroom.
It is less than the Atlas though.
Marginally, you literally have like 6 inches on top of your head.
But I'm incredibly tall, coming in at well above average 5'10".
Yeah. All
So
right.
just check the back to make sure, because it does slope.
Yeah. Let's check the back seat
All right,
because that's
okay.
a question.
All right,
Okay.
it's good.
Yeah, it's
Not
fine.
as much as the Atlas.
No, obviously, but it's totally fine.
The
These-
legroom's amazing. 'cause
These
it's
seats
still
are
a long
nice, and you know
vehicle.
what? These recline. Check that out. These back seats recline. That's pretty cool.
And they're
Oh
heated.
my! And they fold, James.
The heated, the heated seats we haven't got on right now. There you go.
Are you nuts?
I'm an anarchist. It's
yeah.
comfortable.
There's
As I said,
USB ports
there's
back
so
here.
much legroom because
Huge
it's still a
legroom.
long car. It's only 5.7 inches shorter than the Atlas, and the
Yeah.
Atlas has
So in terms of
7 seats.
this
has
little
5.
area is probably very similar to the actual Atlas. Obviously, that slopes back there, but there is still quite a large amount of trunk room.
And we have the sunroof.
Panoramic sunroof is really
Panoramic
cool.
sunroof.
Conclusion?
Conclusion.
Honestly, both James and I liked driving the Cross Sport. It just felt more or less like an Atlas, and it did indeed stand up to a beating all day in the heat and the dust. So if you're looking for a 5-seat Atlas, or maybe even something to replace your Touareg, perhaps this is the SUV for you.
But why wouldn't you have just brought a bottle of water? And shouldn't you have hydrated first? Why wouldn't you have just brought water? And shouldn't you have hydrated a bit first?